What's up guys? Welcome to AnimeKouhai. If you'd like to help me out, please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel.
A scornful tone cut through, belonging to an adversary from the past.
Oh, that's right. She's here too, isn't she?
Rumina's thoughts drifted to Ultima's presence. Within the suspended world, Veldora's ability to transcend time and space seemed intricately tied to Ultima. That connection made sense. To Rumina's, who was only beginning to comprehend the suspended world, the unfolding events felt utterly incomprehensible. Yet, as Ultima had asserted, there was no room for doubt. Rumina's, conscious but immobilized, listened as Ultima's relentless voice broke through her muddled thoughts.
So, how does it feel? Are you even aware of what's happening?
Ultima asked.
Well, yes. I might not fully understand, but I know we're no longer in immediate danger.
Rumina's replied without hesitation. Ultima smirked.
Oh, it's your first time in the suspended world, yet you're already able to recognize voices and hold a conversation? Not bad at all. You're quite a formidable opponent.
Even though Ultima hadn't spent much time in the suspended world herself, she saw no reason to admit it. Instead, she aimed to establish her dominance while preparing to take control of the situation.
If you can talk, then you can see them, can't you?
Ultima pressed further.
Naturally. That wretched dragon is glaring at DISCLAIMER.
Rumina's responded as her ultra-intuition began to piece together the scene, though her understanding was still hazy. Only Veldora and DISCLAIMER seemed to move freely. Ultima's confident tone masked her own unfamiliarity with navigating this space.
So it's possible to manipulate the information particles.
Rumina's mused aloud. No light, no sound, the suspended world required interaction with a unique substance smaller than spirits or photons, that connected directly to the world's essence. Ultima had referred to these as information particles, and Rumina's now grasped the concept.
If we can control these information particles, then it's possible to move even within stop time, right?
Rumina's asked.
Exactly. I think I'm starting to get the hang of it.
Ultima replied, as sensation returned to her limbs. Once she mastered this, moving through the suspended world would feel as natural as breathing.
I won't fall behind.
Rumina's resolved, focusing intently. She honed her senses, tuning into both her inner self and the surrounding matter, selectively guiding the boundless information particles. Her fingertips twitched slightly.
Not bad.
Ultima remarked.
It's a race now.
Time remained frozen, yet the urgency was palpable. The battle between Veldora and DISCLAIMER could go either way, and they needed to be ready to act before its conclusion. Rumina's and Ultima sharpened their awareness, competing silently to see who could adapt first. As the others began adapting to the frozen state of time, the exchange between Veldora and DISCLAIMER carried on.
Veldora, huh? How exactly did you manage to show up at the perfect moment?
To DISCLAIMER, the idea that someone could execute spatial transportation within the confines of the suspended world was beyond comprehension. It seemed like madness to pinpoint a location so accurately from a great distance, even if the destination was within sight.
Well, you know how it is. Heroes always have impeccable timing.
Veldora replied with a smug grin. His answer wasn't what DISCLAIMER expected, but it fit Veldora's style, so DISCLAIMER accepted it without complaint. Then, Veldora proposed something utterly absurd to DISCLAIMER.
So, DISCLAIMER, I've got a suggestion for you.
What is it?
If time's frozen, doesn't that mean everyone gets to admire how incredibly handsome I am?
DISCLAIMER's thoughts immediately turned incredulous. What nonsense is he spouting now? When time is halted, there isn't much effort required to maintain it, although it's still a bit of a hassle. Yet, this situation exemplified the easy camaraderie between DISCLAIMER and Veldora.
If you're able to move anyway, there's really no point in keeping time frozen.
Veldora continued.
That's why I think we should hit the reset button. I'm saying, let's restart everything, and I'll make my dramatic entrance right as time resumes. I'll catch your punch right in front of Rumina's.
DISCLAIMER said nothing, his silence speaking volumes. Veldora added with a smirk.
That's the kind of impression I need to make on Rumina's.
May I ask why?
Oh, that's easy. I've done plenty of things in my time. Rumina's holds a bit of a grudge against me, so I'm here to turn things around. If I make a good impression, maybe I can smooth things over.
Even DISCLAIMER found this explanation exasperating. It was a self-serving narrative that held no benefit for him whatsoever. With a tone that felt like he was pacifying a child, DISCLAIMER responded.
I'll lift the time stop myself, but I see no reason to indulge in your antics.
It was a valid argument. DISCLAIMER truly had no obligation to humor Veldora's whims. Yet, despite his easygoing nature, simply entertaining Veldora's nonsense felt like a waste of effort. After all, when faced with someone who could still function within the suspended world, the act of halting time served no real purpose. It only drained time and energy for no gain. However, that logic applied only if there was a single adversary. If de Gruel were to undo the time-freezing state, he would have to contend not just with Veldora but also with Rumina's. Shion, though currently incapacitated, could be revived through Rumina's intervention. This scenario promised to be far more troublesome than the present circumstances, making the suspended world worthwhile to maintain for now. Even so, de Gruel had another concern. If this stalemate continued, both Ultima and Rumina's might fully grasp the information particle mechanism. The advantage he currently held could evaporate if his opponents gained enough understanding to exploit it. Allowing the enemy to gather experience in this way felt like a mistake. Though de Gruel wanted to end the suspended world sooner rather than later, Veldora's incessant complaints kept getting in the way.
Well, aren't you just a delight? Since I've humbled myself so much, wouldn't it kill you to do me a small favor?
Veldora argued, as though his selfish reasoning was entirely reasonable. De Gruel released a heavy sigh of exhaustion. Meanwhile, Rumina's, who could empathize all too well with his frustration, fumed silently.
You rotten lizard, I'll deal with you later.
Rumina's face turned crimson as anger boiled within her. If she could move, she would have kicked Veldora without hesitation. His nonchalant attitude was so infuriating that it almost seemed to push her past her limitations. Perhaps Veldora believed that Rumina's couldn't hear him due to the suspended world, but his careless remarks betrayed his true thoughts.
I'll make you pay later.
Rumina's vowed internally. Veldora carried on unbothered, de Gruel grew increasingly exasperated, and Rumina's simmered in rage. Meanwhile, Ultima quietly continued to grasp the intricacies of the information particle. Amidst this mix of emotions and the growing chaos, an unusual phenomenon unfolded. The cause of this disturbance was Shion. Her eyes remained shut, and her body was covered in open wounds. Blood flowed freely from her injuries, a detail that should have been impossible. In the suspended world, no matter how severe the damage, no blood should flow, as even the heart's movement is halted. Yet, Shion's blood continued to spill. She began to stir, her movements unsteady. Her bloodshot eyes snapped open, and she rose to her feet like a specter.
What?
De Gruel muttered in disbelief. Before he could process what he was seeing, Shion took a deep breath.
Shion, you figured out the suspended world?
De Gruel asked, his voice betraying his astonishment.
Shion, now that's me.
Veldora began to speak, sensing that his turn in the spotlight was slipping away. He addressed Shion awkwardly, trying to reassert himself. However, Shion's focus was elsewhere.
Veldora-sama, that man is my target. Will you let me have him?
Shion asked, leaning on her massive sword like a cane, her shoulders heaving with effort. Veldora grunted, nodding in agreement. The intensity of the moment left him with no room to refuse. Veldora, filled with mischief, could only watch as Shion's demeanor and resolve shifted entirely. His role now was to humor her request and observe.
Fine, I'll lend you a hand. Fight to your heart's content.
Veldora responded, steadying Shion as she struggled to stay upright. To aid Shion's recovery, he channeled his energy into her.
I said I'd lend her some, but this isn't lending. She's taking it without a second thought.
Veldora's thoughts churned as Shion drained him of his magicule reserves. He nearly stumbled but managed to keep himself upright through sheer willpower.
Oh, thank you so much.
Don't mention it.
He replied with a bright smile, though inside he was crying. With that, Veldora watched Shion leave. De Gruel loomed like an unyielding fortress. Facing him, Shion prepared her daggers with an eager smile.
I've kept you waiting, haven't I? Well, this time, I'll make sure to give you a proper challenge.
I'll hold you to that.
The two exchanged calm nods before refocusing on each other.
I'll make sure to meet your expectations.
In the frozen realm, the true clash between de Gruel and Shion was about to unfold. Shion took a moment to reflect on the situation. Her mind was a storm of emotions. She seethed with anger at de Gruel for exploiting her vulnerabilities and at herself for falling short against him. Her anger burned at the defeat of her allies, both her own men and the elite forces. She felt powerless in the face of an unfair reality, burdened by inadequacy and frustration, even envious of those stronger than her. Yet, she swallowed all these feelings and subdued them with calculated judgment. Her rage fueled her, but unlike in the past, she didn't let it drive her into recklessness. She carefully assessed what was within her ability and what wasn't. Shion moved forward without hesitation. She bore no personal hatred toward her opponents, choosing instead to analyze them with unwavering focus. To her, concepts like good and evil held no meaning. In the heat of battle, extraneous thoughts were distractions. What truly mattered was simple: could she overcome the enemy or not? Setting aside the tempest of emotions within her, Shion accepted the situation for what it was. Following Rimuru teachings, she applied them in practice. No matter how unreasonable or challenging the ideal seemed, she embraced it wholeheartedly. Through this approach, Shion developed an intuitive understanding of the essence of things, grasping them on a soul-deep level. This intuition manifested clearly in her confrontation with DISCLAIMER. Even before the battle commenced, Shion could sense the limitless and overwhelming power emanating from him. Beneath his composed and gentle exterior, there lay a ferocious spirit, a wild intensity that Shion had never perceived before. Perhaps this was the pinnacle of perfection Shion aspired to achieve. DISCLAIMER embodied that ideal, and it sent a shiver down her spine. When viewed objectively, the gap in strength between DISCLAIMER and Shion was undeniable. It was clear they were not equals in power. Yet, Shion refused to acknowledge the concept of retreat. Rimuru's strategy was flawless. There had to be a reason Shion was assigned to this position, it simply couldn't be coincidence. Because of this conviction, Shion saw no justification for retreat unless explicitly commanded. This unwavering trust in Rimuru guided her thoughts. For Shion, Rimuru's orders were absolute, encompassing her entire purpose.
Rimuru-sama wouldn't place us in a situation where we'd perish needlessly. This moment must hold significance, so until new instructions come, I will give it my all.
Someone who acts without hesitation wields true strength. Shion didn't fear death, instead, she stood resolute, holding the front line with unyielding resolve.
A big thanks to the AnimeKouhai patrons who made this video possible. Jared Bressler, Speed Saber, Curtis Loban, Judah Herrera, Just a Guy, Miss L.W. Hernandez, Jason Martin, Zach Rosen, Jerry Sladek, Ray Perez, Jay, Donald Williams, Day of Light, John M, Godman Gaming, Markithian Tidwell, Adrian, Kumo, T. Bush, Kirisoto Sama, JV, Thomas, Joshua Cousins, Jose Hernandez, Khalid, Christian Deshazer, Divine C. Harris, Montyboy 98, Ruben, Yuki Iki, Gray, Isaac, Koala King 93, Quilly Buckner, Alver, Normal Defate, Joshua Andrade, Gary Miles, Dragon Spawn 666, J. Rule, Nate, Leiron Sangkap, Lucas Guet, Jason Martin, Sky T, Andre Hamilton, Martin Ramos, Emperor WSA, Miko Espinosa, George Hage, Gobi Lin, Pratik Bandari, Faiz Mansour, Jackson Early, Carl Stephen Bernadal, Gareth Hashimoto, Steven Madison, Marl Barsha, Ralph Ignacio, Efrain Hernandez, Luca Gaming WTF, William Locke, Kamal Luke, Akshay Devate, Elvin Quarty, Ian Sikibiol, Thanakorn Lee Sawat, KACP9R, The Harv, Drayden Yamauchi, Joshua Wolf. Thank you so much for helping out. I'll see you guys in the next video.